Hi guys, so over the past few days I've been thinking a lot about my gaming backlog. If you've been living under a rock, you would have probably missed out on the fact that Steam, the PlayStation Store, and the Xbox Live Game Store have all been holding major sales in which it was possible to pick up a load of games for very cheap prices. Now, if there is anything a good sale reminds me of, it is the fact that I have a major gaming backlog that just seems to grow and grow after each and every sale. I seem to have a load of great games in my backlog that I never get around to playing, and I feel terrible about this because not only did I spend money on these games, but I also feel that I'm depriving myself of some worthwhile experiences. About 2 months ago, I finally decided to have a crack at culling my to playlist and was able to get through a few titles and make the list a little bit shorter. Well, that was until this sale came around. Seeing as I saw some success with my strategy, I decided to share it in the hope of attempting to help somebody else with a major backlog filled with games that they want to play but just haven't gotten around to playing. The strategy consists of 4 steps as follows. Step 1. Stop buying every bloody game out there. This step is primarily meant to prevent the growth of your backlog list as opposed to anything else. Now, the huge problem with sales is the fact that they often coerce us into buying games that we know that we don't want, or perhaps we know that we won't even want to play just because they are available at cheap prices. For instance, maybe you know you've been growing tired of open world games, you're a little bit fatigued of the open world genre, but you still land up buying something like a Far Cry Primal Far Cry 4 bundle because it's available at half the price of one regular video game. In these instances, you are probably buying a game with the idea that sometime in the future you will feel the desire to play this game, and you better take advantage of this opportunity because you know it may never come again. Well, at least until the next sale, that is. The problem with an action like this is that sometimes the desire to play the game never actually comes, or you start playing the game and are immediately reminded as to why you were originally apprehensive of buying this title in the first place. I'm not saying that you shouldn't take the opportunity to stock up on games during a sale, but rather that one should really ask the question of whether they want to play a particular game before one decides to purchase it. Because, you know, sometimes you really are just buying a game because it's available at a very cheap price. Step 2 is to acknowledge that there are some games that you just don't like or you will never ever get around to playing. If I think about how many games I own, the number would probably exceed 250 or more. Honestly, I can't say that I've played every single one of these games in my library to the fullest extent because firstly, I don't really think that I have enough time to play all of them, and then secondly, some of these titles I'm just not interested in. As suggested with the previous step, sometimes you land up buying games that you're not really interested in because they're available at a cheap price. Then other times, maybe a title that received great reviews was made free with PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, or some other means, and you feel compelled to play it because it received such great acclaim even though you're really not into it. It's important to remember that it's fine to dislike some games and that you don't have to play every single game that was critically acclaimed. You don't have to play every single game that's made free on PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live. You don't have to play every single game that you bought just because it was available at a cheap price, even though you probably shouldn't do that to begin with. If you don't like a particular game, quite simply don't include it in your to playlist and never force yourself to push through it just to say that you finished it. Remember that most people play games as a hobby, and if you're not having fun with the game that you're playing, then why waste your valuable time on it? All this will do is create resentment towards the hobby. Step 3, start with the shortest games first. Now, a lot of people may feel differently about this idea, but sometimes I feel that the biggest factor holding one back from clearing their backlog is the fact that they look at the number of games on this list and they start to think, oh, I'm never ever gonna get through all of these games. So once you've actually whittled down your backlog list by stating that there are certain games that you will never play, you still may have a large number of games to get through. This is still very possible. And I think that by going through the shortest games possible first, that you will at least cull this number to something a little bit lower, and it may start to seem a little bit more manageable. Step 4. Make time to play games. This idea is focused more on an overall life skill than just trying to beat your backlog list. Personally, I've found that the quickest manner in getting a number of tasks completed is to designate a particular time in which to do each task. If you find yourself not having enough time to play video games but you really want to, why don't you just schedule a particular time during the week in which you only spend that time playing video games? I've heard some people take this idea a little bit further by even scheduling time to play each specific title. If you really want to beat your backlog list, you will need to make time to do so. I'm not saying that gaming should be the only activity you engage in your free time, but if you don't make some time for the hobby and still continue to buy a ridiculous number of games each sale, I don't know how you're ever going to cull down your list. I have no words of help for you then. Well, this is my strategy for tackling a gaming backlog. I know that there are many different ones available out there. You just need to type it in Google and you'll see like a million pages turn up. Perhaps I've missed some ideas that others feel are more helpful in getting through a backlog than the ones I've provided, but I do hope that my strategy may actually help somebody out there. I do want to know though, what is your strategy in working through your backlog? Do you agree with the steps I've mentioned? Please share in the comments down below, and if you liked this video, please remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.